It's nice to see they named one of the snack bars at the airport after me. Well, hello everybody. It's Captain Max over at JetBlue, and I just flew my retirement flight, which, in the greatest tradition of the airline industry, started off 20 minutes late. The plane is finally here. Yay! Yeah, we're only running about 20 minutes late, not the end of the world. So, my last departure out of Orlando was off of runway 36 right. Luckily, as you can tell by the illuminated red lights, they had me go into position hold, which gave me some time to snap a photo down the runway before I left my last time. So now I have a keepsake memory of my last takeoff out of Orlando. It's a good takeoff, and the trip started out beautifully. Nice, smooth ride. And we got a few little bumps along the way, but it was overall a beautiful day to fly. And my faithful first officer was very helpful along the way. He knew it was my retirement trip, as the crew did, so he was extra vigilant in keeping an eye on me and keeping me out of trouble, which is a first officer's job. Thank you, Chris. It was absolutely a beautiful sunset flight, and eventually started making our preparations for landing, and everything went pretty much the way you would expect it going into Kennedy, a long train of aircraft. And of course, that caused us to have to wait for a while to get to our gate once we were on the ground, but it was no big deal. Then it was off to the TWA hotel, which is adjacent to our terminal, so we just walked right over. Unfortunately, I had to mute the audio because they play all kinds of copyrighted music in here, mostly from the 60s. That's probably one of my favorite things about this hotel. So, and YouTube has popped me for it a couple of times, so you get to enjoy my silky smooth voice instead. While I was there, I took one last opportunity to head out to the Connie, the Constellation that has been turned into a bar. And yes, it was actually a TWA airplane with a very colorful history. And had enough time on the clock, I was able to enjoy a single beverage. So this was my farewell cocktail, and I can't think of a more apropos place to have it than the Constellation. I even took the opportunity to talk about the airplane a little bit, and thinking about how every one of these rivets you see was probably bucked over 70 years ago by a lot of hardworking people that made some beautiful airplanes. And of course, then I realized, oh yeah, we've got the music playing here too, so I had to mute that. Oh well. But that's the way it goes. Can you imagine going across the ocean in the middle of the night with 4 of these big compound radials churning away? I mean, we have got it so good today. They did this on paper charts, a sextant, a whiskey compass, and maybe a radio direction finder. They were pilots. So the next morning I got up, beautiful day in New York, and took one last look at the Aero Saarinen building and headed off to go get my flying machine ready. For today's flight, we were taking an Airbus A321 Classic from JFK to Las Vegas, Nevada. This was actually the first and only time I would fly in and out of Las Vegas, and my first officer, Chris, was going to be the flying pilot for this leg because, well, frankly, he'd been there before, and it was his turn to fly. Well, I'll be flying both legs tomorrow. The FO's going to fly today, so I'm doing my last ever walk around. And a nice brisk New York day to do it on. Ha! And the name of the airplane is a defining moment. Mint as in mint class. Ha ha! How apropos. As we climbed out of JFK, I looked back, and on this beautiful day, got one final great look at the JetBlue mothership, JFK. Then we headed out to the west. And the beautiful thing about this trip is the sun is mostly to your back, so you can get all kinds of nice photography. And I'll tell you what, as you travel across the American countryside, especially out west and you get in the mountains, there's a lot to take pictures of. We actually had to fly up through Canada to get around some weather, but when we got out west and it finally smoothed out, we just got some of the most gorgeous scenery that exists on this planet. So I'll just play a little music and let us enjoy the scenery. we got into Vegas a little bit early, which is a wonderful thing. And then it was off to the hotel. And to celebrate my last trip, I went to Makino's Sushi Bar, which was recommended to me by Steve of Steve's Model Mania. And I was not disappointed. Of course, they saw me walk through the door, and I think the prices just went up. I tried to get some pictures of some of the casinos, like Casino Row, but that was really hard to do because the place is so built up now. It's not like I remember it from 15 years ago, and people who went there in the 70s and 80s don't even recognize the place. It's really hard to see a bunch of casinos like the old days because there's just so much stuff there now. But it's still a cool town. I did have a pretty good view out of the hotel window, though. Next morning, I thought I would record a little message to myself since this is beginning my last day as an airline pilot. Good morning, everybody. Max's Models here. I'm in Las Vegas. Today's graduation day. Schedule calls for us to go from here to Kennedy and then down to Orlando, and that'll be a wrap. Having a traditional airline breakfast of hotel coffee and airplane snacks. And of course, I've got the hotel freebie pin because why break tradition at this point? Anyway, we're going to kick off here shortly, and I just wanted to say after today, we'll have a lot more time for building models and making videos and all that other stuff. Guys, take care of yourselves. We'll see you later. And as always, model on. It may have been my last day, but Mother Nature didn't care. She had plenty of treats in store for me. And even though it was an absolutely gorgeous day leaving Las Vegas, we had, well, let's just say some adventures yet to come. So, once we got in the airplane, got everything going and did our pushback, we headed off. And I wish I could have taken some pictures, but I was a little too busy flying the airplane. It was just amazing to see the downtown on the liftoff. In fact, you really have to focus on what you're doing because it would be a major distraction. That was just an amazing view because the airport's right by the strip. And if I ever go up as a passenger, I'm going to make sure to sit on if they're going off runway 1, I'm going to make sure to sit on the left side of the plane and keep my camera pasted to the window. So it was a little bumpy once we got over the hills. And yes, again, absolutely beautiful sights to be seen, including of many things. There was the Telluride Airport. And yes, that little black strip down there in those mountains is the Telluride Airport. And no, I have no intention of flying into there. That is one of those little airports you get wedged into a corner real easy. But the scenery across the American West is absolutely staggering. Well, I guess it's time for a little more music. I enjoyed my last ever free crew mint meal, which is JetBlue's first class section, and it definitely gave me the fuel I needed to finish the flight. We got to JFK, which was as busy as ever, and I just kind of stood for a while and watched people mill around and realized, this is it. And the funny thing is, we just done a flight in one of the company's somewhat newer airplanes, and my last flight for JetBlue would be in 505, which I believe is our second oldest ship. And I don't know, an old pilot and an old ship, there was something fitting about that. I had a wonderful in-flight crew, Ivelisse, Christiane, and Angelina. I was also blessed by the fact that a visiting airline captain who was jump seating with us happened to record my final goodbye speech.
Everybody, in front of the aircraft, my name's Max. I'm the captain. I want to welcome you aboard on what is my retirement flight. We're looking at 2.5 hours going down to Florida. My wife's waiting on me, so I'm going to fly like a stolen. Sit back, relax, and I'll wait shortly and fly aboard. Congratulations!
Pushing back for the last time, Gate 16 JFK, once more into the breach. Let's ride. And even though it was a bit of a wet and rainy day, it was actually a pretty good day to fly. We actually had to do a Cat 3 auto land coming in because of low visibility, and it was basically VFR by the time we left, or visual flight rules. They actually had to have us hold so company traffic could land. Once we got on the runway, they needed us to hold so that some other aircraft could cross down runway. This gave me the opportunity to take a quick photo of the runway. One last time, my final departure out of JFK. So I did my very best to make it a smoothie. All went well, but unfortunately, we weren't in the air too long before it started getting a little turbulent. Mother Nature was going to play with us all the way to Florida. The flight to Florida was uneventful. Everything was working properly, but it was fairly bumpy. But at least we were treated to some nice visuals. Everything was running more or less on schedule, actually a little bit ahead. And other than a few bumps, it really wasn't a bad trip. And I gave my final goodbye speech to the folks. As we passed over St. Augustine and Daytona, we could see Orlando, and we figured, well, we got this licked. I mean, there's only one little piece of weather, one thunderstorm in all of Florida. Of course, it happens to be on the edge of the traffic pattern. Well, I guess Mother Nature's attitude was, you're not there yet, kid, and the test never ends. So I turned off the autopilot and did that pilot thing and made a beautiful landing in Orlando. We arrived a few minutes early to, of course, find out that there was no room at the hitching rail. Every gate was full. So after 20-odd minutes of waiting for the gates to open up, we got parked just in time to knock out a couple of hero photos for the old logbook. Some wonderful people had written nice notes and messages to me, including some of my previous crew, and that was very touching. And despite that this was my retirement flight, I'm still a qualified pilot, still working for the airline. So, of course, I had one last thing to do. Last time off the plane.
Congratulations.
And I'm running away before crew services can find me. So after having successfully evaded any chance of another assignment, and crew services can't get me now, I went to the hotel to meet my wife, and she was waiting for me with pizza. My God, the woman gets me. But she also had an amazing present waiting for me. She had retirement salutations from none other than actor Andrew Robinson, who portrayed one of my favorite characters in all of science fiction, Elam Garak from Star Trek DS9.
Captain Max, greetings. This is Andrew Robinson, a.k.a. Garak, your plain and simple tailor. And I've been asked by Monica, your wife, I guess to congratulate you on your retirement from being a JetBlue pilot. I flew JetBlue not too long ago to New York. I wonder if you were piloting that plane. And Monica tells me that you are a big fan of Garak, as am I, and that you quote him all the time. I mean, I mean, he's quotable. God knows. I mean, the lines. I mean, you mentioned a few of them, like "There's hope for you yet, Doctor," and never tell the same lie twice, and what is? Actually, my favorite, is the truth is just an excuse for lack of imagination. Somehow that one really tickles me. Anyway, Captain Max, what are you going to do for your retirement? I hope you have a good one, and just enjoy life. I think this is what we've got to do at this point. I'm on the verge of retirement myself. Although, as an actor, I told myself I was going to retire, then a job comes by and I can't turn it down. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, they'll probably have to, I think I'll retire when they're carrying me out in the pine box. Anyway, but it's different. It's different being, and also flying kind of. I've never been afraid of flying. I always loved flying, but these days it's something weird is going on. Anyway, my friend, have a great birthday. Oh no, not a birthday. It's a retirement. Well, it's a rebirth day. Let's put it that way. Take care, my friend. I wish you all the best. Bye.
There's a link in the description to the actual video, and if you'd like to have Mr. Robinson do a salutation or a greeting or something for you, you can check out that website. Garak knows who I am. Should I be worried? Well, that was pretty much it. The next day, I turned in my iPad and badge, and, well, that's it. Now I just wait to sign those retirement documents and start spending my time working on the Max's Models channel, making videos, building models, and doing honeydews. Guys, it's been a great 28 and a half years. To all those who've made this such a wonderful career. And to my lovely wife, who's been the perfect airline wife. My love and my thanks.